Good afternoon, Professor. My name is Daniel Alejandro Guerrero Morales, and I'm going to present today my final entry. Well, the introduction is we all have a cell phone, right? It has become something of our daily life. But however it seems good, there's always some bad things that interfere. I have been noticing that when I use a cell phone at really late night, the next morning I feel really tired, and this made me think and led me to my research question. My research question is, does the use of cell phone at night affect the sleeping cycle of teenagers? In order to answer it, we have to define two special factors, which are the sleeping cycle and cell phone technology. Well, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the definition of sleep is a condition of the body or mind that typically occurs for several hours every night, in which the nervous system is relaxed, inactive, and thus making us rest. This is a stage in which people can be, well, the sleeping cycle is separated on four different stages. The first one is a stage in which the person is and can be easily awakened. The second stage, our eyes finally stop, but here's where the brain activity is still continuing. Finally, on the third and fourth stage is when the body enters a type called deep sleep. Here, the person can no longer wake up very easily, and the brain activity starts acting like crazy, making the edema waves in our brain moving continuously. Well, cell phones irradiate blue light, and this blue light can harm and even kill a so-called hormone called melatonin. Melatonin is a cell that is in charge of controlling the sleeping cycle and making us rest. Well, my hypothesis that I made is that if teenagers use their cell phone at very late night, then their sleeping cycle will be affected. In order to make an experiment, I stated two different variables, well, some variables. The first variable is the independent variable. We will take this as the cause of my investigation. The cause will be how the use of cell phone before going to sleep is affected. My second variable will be the dependent variable. This will take it as the effect of the independent variable that is causing. The effect will be the facility which people have to gain sleep. Finally, my control variable states that the people who I interview are people from around 16 to 18 years. Well, the methodology is, as said before, we have three different variables in order to continue. To test my hypothesis, I developed a series of different surveys in which I ask my interviewers them a little bit about how much time do they use their cell phone, at what time do they normally go to sleep, the amount of time they sleep. And the final question I ask them is if they consider themselves a person with insomnia. The results that depend on my survey is the first question was the range of people which I interview, in which the majority are from the final semester, sixth semester. The second question, as we can see, the ranges, as said before, go from people to 16 to 18, being the majority 18 plus. And the third and fourth question are how much time and if they use a cell phone at night, as you can see before. The majority of my people interviewed use their cell phone during the day 3 or more hours, and are estimated almost 90% of the interviewers use the cell phone at night, which is something that is very important for my investigation to go on. Well, I make this table in which we can see how many men and women are interviewed. And from this table, I gain the mean, the mode, the median, the range, and the maximum and minimum. So this makes me conclude that almost every person I interview uses a cell phone a lot of time. Well, these are almost the final questions. The next question I put it on purpose after the use of cell phone to see if this was a factor that influenced them. The question asks them how much facility do they gain their sleep. The same people that answer that they use the cell phone more than 3 hours a day and at nighttime were those who find it very hard to gain sleep. Also, all of the people who answer between ranges on the first question from 1 to 5 consider themselves people with sleeping disorders or even people with insomnia. Well, after gaining my results, this made me conclude that stating my research question, does the use of cell phone at night affect the sleeping cycle of teenagers? Thanks to all the information I gained, I can say that my hypothesis, if teenagers use their cell phone at a very late night time, then their sleeping time will be affected, was answered correctly, and thanks to the results made by the survey and the chai test, the factor of using the cell phone before sleep and night affect the teenager's sleeping cycle. Finally, some improvements that I would made or I would like to make for future investigation was also to be myself part of the people interview or the part me being the one that tested it and not only relying on the people's word. Also, I feel that my statistical test that I made could have been better, but since it's a complicated topic that requires a lot of investigation and a lot of time, I find it very hard in a certain way to make it. Finally, I think it ended very well. I think this project made me realize how simple things can make a difference on a people's life. And also in a certain way, it made me more aware that I'm not the only one fighting and having some certain problems, and many different people and almost many people of my age have faced them too since the start of the quarantine. Thank you.